ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like your mind never shuts off? You lay in bed with a smile on your face, but a war inside your thoughts. You laugh in public but collapse in private. You seem fine, yet deep down, you are tired of being tired. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. What if peace isn't some spiritual fairy tale only monks or saints can access? Peace is a weapon, and right now, you're either armed with it or you're bleeding without it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact mindset shifts and strategies that will help you experience inner peace faster than you ever thought possible. This isn't about meditation apps or fake affirmations. This is about healing your inner world so your outer world can finally make sense. So if you're tired of carrying invisible stress, if you want to silence the noise, if you're ready to finally feel peace in your mind, your emotions, and your spirit, don't just listen, lock in. Because what I'm about to share can literally change the way you experience your entire life. Let's begin. In today's world, most people treat inner peace as a luxury, something reserved for vacations, weekend retreats, or retirement. It's viewed as something you get to experience if life slows down, if work isn't too stressful, if your relationships are smooth. And that's exactly why so many people are emotionally drowning while appearing to function. They've misunderstood peace as an accessory when in truth it's a necessity. And let's be honest, life is not slowing down, it's speeding up. Information overload, comparison culture, global uncertainty, financial pressure, relationship chaos, and health concerns are bombarding your mind and heart every single day. If you don't have an inner sanctuary to return to, you'll always feel like you're running from something, even when nothing's chasing you. You can look successful on the outside and still be at war inside. And that's the problem. We've become professionals at hiding our unrest with productivity, with social media, with entertainment, with busyness. But it's not working. People are burnt out. Not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much without peace. Here's what you need to understand. Peace is a survival tool. It's not a reward for a perfect life. It's a requirement for a sustainable one. It's what allows you to sleep at night, even when the storm outside hasn't passed. It's what helps you respond to chaos instead of reacting to it. It's what gives you the power to walk away from drama without needing to explain yourself. Peace keeps your mind focused when the world is screaming for your attention, and it protects your energy so you can give your best to the things that actually matter. Without peace, your decisions become reactive, your relationships become draining, your dreams feel impossible. Without peace, you'll mistake exhaustion for laziness and fear for logic. You'll keep saying yes to things that slowly destroy you just because you don't want to deal with confrontation. You'll tolerate toxic people and environments because you don't know what it feels like to live from a place of stability. But once you understand that inner peace is not optional, everything changes. You begin to treat it like oxygen, non-negotiable. You stop chasing chaos. You stop inviting confusion. You begin to defend your peace the same way you defend your time and money, because you realize that without it, none of those other things even matter. We live in a generation that glorifies the hustle, no days off, grind now, rest later. But what if I told you that peace is the most powerful form of productivity? Because when you have peace, you can think clearly. You can hear God more clearly. You can see solutions others miss. Peace gives you presence. And presence is a superpower in a distracted world. When you are truly at peace, you stop running. You stop comparing. You stop needing constant validation. You begin to move from a place of enough rather than lack. So no, inner peace is not a luxury reserved for the spiritually elite or the emotionally healed. It's something you must fight for now, while life is chaotic, while bills are due, while your heart is still healing, while the noise hasn't stopped. because that's exactly when you need it the most. The sooner you stop treating peace as a reward and start using it as your foundation, the sooner your entire life will begin to transform, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Most people have been conditioned to believe that achieving inner peace is a long, drawn-out process that takes years of therapy, meditation, or spiritual retreat. And while those paths have value, the belief that peace is far away becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We tell ourselves, one day I'll feel calm. One day I'll be okay. But what if that day could be today? What if the delay is not in the process, but in your mindset? Peace is not far. It's not found in a temple in the mountains or in a yoga class twice a week. It's much closer than we realize. It begins the moment you shift from reaction to awareness, from blame to responsibility, from noise to stillness. That's the secret no one tells you. Inner peace doesn't take years. It takes one decision and then another. You don't have to escape your life to find peace. You have to face your life differently. That shift can happen in an instant. You can go from stress to stillness the moment you decide to stop fighting what you can't control. You can go from anxious to anchored when you choose to stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios and instead focus on the truth in front of you. Peace doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It enters through your willingness to surrender. We complicate peace by thinking it requires everything around us to be fixed. But peace doesn't come because the world is quiet. It comes because you are. Chaos may still be around you, but peace becomes your filter, your lens, your shield. And that can begin as fast as you decide that you are no longer going to be ruled by every external wave that comes crashing in. Many people stay stuck in inner turmoil not because peace is far, but because they keep saying, I'll feel better when I get the job, when the relationship improves, when they apologize, when I have more money. But that's not peace. That's dependency dressed up as hope. Real peace is independent. It exists regardless of circumstance. It's the kind of peace that Jesus talked about, a peace that surpasses understanding. That kind of peace isn't earned through perfection. It's accessed through surrender. You don't need more time. You need more truth. The truth is, you've been postponing your own calm by giving power to things that were never meant to have control over you. Other people's opinions, your past mistakes, imaginary deadlines, manufactured urgency. None of these things deserve to control your spirit. Here's the good news. Your soul knows peace. Even if your mind has been trained to overthink, even if your emotions have been conditioned to panic, deep within you there is a stillness that has never been touched by pain. That stillness is always available, but you have to give it permission to rise. You do that by deciding right now that you're no longer waiting for peace to find you. You're going to meet it where you are. The fastest way to peace is not to chase it, it's to choose it. You can choose it by releasing what no longer serves you. You can choose it by breathing instead of reacting, by listening instead of defending, by trusting instead of doubting. It's a habit you build, one moment at a time, but it always starts now. So don't believe the lie that peace is years away. Peace is not about time. It's about truth. And the truth is, the moment you decide to stop being loyal to your chaos, peace will make its way in, quicker than you ever imagined. We live in the most connected generation in history, yet we are more disconnected from ourselves than ever before. Every second, your attention is being pulled in multiple directions. Notifications, emails, scrolling timelines, endless entertainment, constant noise. And while these distractions might seem harmless, they are quietly robbing you of the very thing your soul is crying out for: peace. Distractions are not just about wasting time. They're about draining your focus, your energy, and your ability to be fully present. You can't feel peace if your mind is constantly skipping from one thought to another, reacting to every alert, consumed by every trend, obsessed with everyone else's life but your own. Peace requires presence, and presence requires stillness. But distractions are designed to keep you in motion. Always running, always reacting, never resting. The reason so many people feel anxious isn't because something is wrong. It's because their minds have never been given permission to be still. There's always another video to watch, another opinion to argue with, another post to compare your life to. Distraction doesn't just steal your time, it steals your clarity. And without clarity, peace becomes impossible. You may think that checking your phone for 5 minutes here and there is harmless, but those moments add up. They interrupt your thoughts. They hijack your focus. They keep you from going deeper into your own mind, your emotions, your spiritual center. When you live in a constant state of reaction, you lose the ability to listen to yourself. You become a stranger to your own soul. That's the real danger. Distractions might not destroy you, but they dull you slowly, quietly, consistently, until one day you wake up feeling disconnected, tired, foggy, and you don't know why. It's because your attention has been stolen piece by piece by things that never deserved it in the first place. Peace doesn't live in a distracted mind, it lives in a disciplined one. And the truth is, many people stay distracted because distraction feels easier than dealing with the truth. Easier than facing that hard conversation. Easier than feeling the pain. Easier than owning the responsibility of growth. But that short-term avoidance creates long-term suffering. Because you can't heal what you won't face, and you can't find peace if you never slow down long enough to hear what your life is really telling you. The moment you begin to remove the noise, even just a little, you feel it. That strange quiet, that unfamiliar stillness. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but that's not emptiness. It's space. Space for clarity, space for truth, space for God to speak, space for your soul to breathe again. Every time you eliminate a distraction, you create more space for peace to enter. Every time you choose stillness over scrolling, reflection over reaction, presence over performance, you reclaim your power. You return to yourself. The world isn't going to get quieter. That's the reality. The noise will keep coming, but you can get stronger. You can get more intentional. You can decide that your peace is more valuable than your notifications, more precious than your screen time, more meaningful than knowing the latest drama. You can choose to protect your attention like it's the most valuable currency you own, because it is. Distractions are not just digital, they're emotional, mental, relational. Anything that pulls you away from your center, your purpose, your truth, that's a distraction. And if you want real peace, you have to confront them, cut them off, unplug from them. Because peace doesn't scream for your attention. It waits in the quiet. And when you silence the noise, even for a moment, you'll hear it whisper again. And that whisper, it will guide you back home. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that peace is something you stumble upon. As if one day the chaos will stop, the noise will fade, and peace will just appear like sunlight breaking through the clouds. But that day never seems to come. That's because peace doesn't find you. You create it. You shape it. You build it through the choices you make daily, especially the small ones that no one sees. Waiting to feel peaceful is like waiting to get in shape without working out. It doesn't happen by accident. Peace is intentional. It's not something you discover in a perfect moment. It's something you choose in the middle of the imperfect ones. It comes when you stop reacting and start responding. When you stop blaming life and start owning your response to it. It's easy to believe that if your circumstances changed, you'd finally feel peace. If the bills were paid, if the relationship healed, if the world was kinder. But that kind of peace is fragile. It depends on everything going right. Real peace, lasting peace, is built on the inside. It's built when you set boundaries to protect your energy. When you remove yourself from drama. When you forgive what tried to break you. When you stop giving power to people who don't value your soul. Peace isn't something you earn after enough success or silence. It's something you cultivate even in the middle of the noise. It's not a place you travel to, it's a posture you stand in. You can be in a busy street and still feel peaceful. You can be surrounded by uncertainty and still feel anchored. That's the power of peace you've built. It doesn't depend on the external. Creating peace means choosing discomfort sometimes. It means walking away from people who expect you to carry their chaos. It means staying silent when you want to argue. It means slowing down when the world says go faster. Peace is rarely loud. It's often found in the quiet choices, the ones that honor your values, your truth, your well-being. And like anything you build, peace requires effort. You have to protect it, water it, defend it. But once you start building it, it becomes your foundation. It gives you the strength to face life with clarity, confidence, and calm. You stop breaking down every time something goes wrong. You stop depending on circumstances to feel okay, because you've built something stronger inside of you. So stop searching for peace as if it's lost. It's not lost. It's waiting to be created by you. We often think strength is shown in how tightly we hold on, holding on to people, memories, pain, expectations, and even our past selves. We confuse attachment with loyalty and endurance with love. But what if the real power isn't in the grip, but in the release? What if peace doesn't come from clinging, but from letting go? So many people are carrying things they were never meant to carry. Old hurts, toxic relationships, regret, guilt, grudges, emotional baggage that weighs down the heart and clutters the mind. And the truth is, it's hard to move forward when you're dragging your past behind you. It's hard to hear God's voice when your heart is full of yesterday's noise. You can't receive what's next when your hands are full of what no longer fits your future. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you stop allowing what happened to have control over your peace. It means you stop giving your energy to things that only drain you. Sometimes it's not about fighting harder. It's about realizing that fighting at all is what's keeping you in pain. Peace comes when you understand that not everything deserves a place in your life. Not every relationship is meant to last. Not every season should be stretched. Not every battle needs to be fought. There is wisdom in walking away, in choosing your mental and emotional health over forced connection, over unresolved chaos. It's not weakness to release what's hurting you. It's wisdom, it's strength, it's clarity. Letting go also means releasing your need to control outcomes. It means trusting that things don't have to go your way for life to still be good. It means giving space to God to work things out in ways you couldn't imagine. Control is heavy. It keeps you anxious, tired, frustrated. But surrender, that's where peace lives. That's where healing begins. When you let go, you make room. Room for clarity, room for peace, room for new beginnings. And maybe the life you're praying for is already trying to show up. But there's no room for it because you're still clutching the old one. What once helped you survive might now be the very thing blocking your growth. Letting go doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes it happens slowly with each conscious decision to stop replaying that moment, to stop responding to that person, to stop expecting something different from what has already shown you its truth. And with every release, you feel a little lighter, a little freer, a little more yourself. Peace isn't found in having it all figured out. It's found in finally being okay with what you don't need to carry anymore. And that begins the moment you choose to let go. In a world that's constantly talking, posting, reacting, and performing, silence has become uncomfortable, even suspicious. We've been trained to fill every quiet moment with sound, with scrolling, with stimulation. But silence isn't empty. It's not a void. It's a powerful space where real clarity is born. When used with intention, silence becomes a weapon, a defense against confusion, a reset button for your soul, and a doorway to inner peace. Noise is everywhere. Opinions, news, gossip, ads, endless content. All of it fighting for space in your mind. And when your mind is full of noise, it becomes impossible to think clearly, to feel deeply, or to hear what truly matters. You become reactive instead of reflective. You start living based on what's loudest, not what's truest. That's why silence is so powerful. It breaks the pattern. It gives your mind room to breathe and your heart space to speak. Most people avoid silence because in silence, truth speaks. And truth can be uncomfortable. It forces you to face yourself, the things you've been avoiding, the decisions you've been delaying, the emotions you've been suppressing. But facing yourself is exactly what leads to healing. You cannot heal what you won't hear. And sometimes it's only in silence that you can finally hear what your soul has been trying to say all along. Silence also gives you authority over your emotions. When you stop reacting to everything and everyone, you take back control. You realize not every comment needs a reply, not every problem needs an immediate solution, not every question deserves your energy. You learn to pause, to observe, to respond from a place of power rather than panic. That's clarity, and clarity is peace. The most confident people are not the loudest. They're the most secure in their silence. They don't need to prove anything. They don't rush to be heard. They understand that wisdom is often quiet and that some answers can only be found when the world is tuned out. Silence trains you to trust your own voice again, instead of always depending on external noise to guide you. Even a few minutes of intentional silence each day can shift your entire mental state. It calms your nervous system. It sharpens your focus. It aligns your spirit. It reminds you that peace isn't found in more noise, but in less. That clarity doesn't come from doing more, but from being still enough to notice what actually matters. So don't fear silence. Embrace it. Make space for it. Use it as a shield when life gets overwhelming. Because in that stillness, you will find answers. In that quiet, you will feel grounded. And in that silence, you will remember who you really are, beneath the noise, beyond the stress, and before the world told you who you had to be. Peace and boundaries are deeply connected. You cannot have lasting peace without clear, firm boundaries. It's impossible. Because without boundaries, your time, your energy, your focus, and even your emotions are open to being drained by anyone and anything. Peace doesn't just happen, it's something you have to protect. And that protection comes in the form of boundaries. What you allow, what you stop tolerating, what you say yes or no to. Many people feel constantly overwhelmed, not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much for the wrong people or in the wrong environments. They say yes out of guilt. They allow access out of fear. They stay in conversations that drain them, respond to messages that stress them, and show up to things they no longer feel aligned with, all to avoid disappointing others. But every time you abandon yourself to please someone else, you trade peace for approval, and that trade is never worth it. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that help you decide who gets to come in and how far. They are a way of saying, I respect myself enough to protect what keeps me whole. That includes your mental space, your spiritual life, your rest, your purpose, your joy. Peace doesn't survive in environments where you're constantly overextending, explaining, or being disrespected. You can love people and still create distance. You can be kind and still be firm. You can care deeply and still say, this doesn't work for me. The truth is, some people will only respect your peace when you stop allowing them to disrupt it. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate, and the longer you allow chaos, the more normal it becomes. But peace is not passive, it's a decision, a daily one, and it often requires hard conversations, uncomfortable moments, and the courage to choose discomfort now so you don't live in regret later. You don't need to explain every boundary. You don't need to feel guilty for protecting your well-being. Your peace matters, your clarity matters, and the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, not punish you for them. Real peace comes when your inner world is no longer constantly invaded by outer demands. Boundaries are not selfish, they're sacred. They allow you to stay grounded. They create space for healing. They give you room to breathe, think, and grow without being pulled in every direction. When you begin setting boundaries, you'll feel resistance at first, mostly from people who benefited from your lack of them. But over time, you'll also feel something else: freedom, peace, power. Because nothing is more freeing than knowing you have the right to protect your space, your energy, and your soul. And when you guard your peace with boundaries, you no longer live at the mercy of the world. You begin to live from a place of strength, clarity, and deep calm. Lasting peace doesn't come from external success, emotional detachment, or mental tricks. It comes from spiritual alignment, being deeply connected to something greater than yourself, living in harmony with your values, and knowing that your life is not just random chaos, but guided by purpose. Without spiritual alignment, peace will always feel temporary. You may find moments of calm, but they won't last. Because lasting peace requires a rooted soul, not just a quiet room. There's a reason why even people who seem to have it all still feel empty. Fame, money, relationships, achievements, they can't fill the spiritual void. Because the human spirit was designed to connect to something deeper, to something divine. You were never meant to carry the weight of life on your own. And when you try to carry, anxiety, fear, and confusion become constant companions. Spiritual alignment isn't about religion alone. It's about relationship with God, with truth, with your purpose. When your spirit is aligned with the truth of who you are and why you're here, peace begins to flow naturally, consistently, and powerfully. You stop trying to control everything. You stop needing to prove your worth. You stop panicking about the future because you trust that your life is part of something bigger than your own plans. The reason this kind of peace is so powerful is because it doesn't rely on things going your way. It stands firm even in the storm. It's the kind of peace that holds you steady when everything else is shaking. That peace doesn't come from within you alone. It comes from being connected to the source of peace itself. And for many, that source is God. When your life is in alignment with His wisdom, His timing, and His direction, you walk lighter. You think clearer. You live freer. Spiritual misalignment, on the other hand, is one of the biggest causes of inner conflict. When your actions don't match your values, when your lifestyle doesn't match your beliefs, when you know better but live out of fear or pressure, it creates unrest. That unrest may not be loud, but it lingers. And the only way to resolve it is to return to truth, to ask yourself, what am I connected to? Who am I trusting with my life? Am I living from a place of alignment or just survival? True peace comes when your heart and your path are walking in the same direction. When you're not just chasing goals, but walking in purpose. When you're not just reacting to life, but following the voice of God, the guidance of truth, and the conviction of your spirit. In that space, peace becomes a natural result, not something you chase, but something you carry. So if you want peace that doesn't disappear when things get hard, focus less on fixing the outside and more on aligning the inside. Because when your soul is anchored, the storms may come, but you won't be shaken.